Welcome to another Brysa Melbey production. This time, we will be diving deep into King Tut's tomb. In November of 1922, Howard Carter discovered the tomb of King Tutankhamun and found over 3,000 separate objects, many of which were made of pure gold. The tomb was filled with gold-covered furniture, dismantled chariots, jars of precious oils and ointments, food and wine, and even a solid gold coffin and the famous death mask of King Tut. But it wasn't just about the material wealth. King Tut was also a significant figure in Egypt's history as the last pharaoh of the 18th dynasty, and his tomb also reveals much about his life and the political climate of his time. For example, King Tut had to move away from his father's unpopular religious beliefs and re-established the traditional pantheon of gods. He also had to rely heavily on advisors during his reign as a child pharaoh. The discovery of King Tut's tomb is a fascinating glimpse into ancient Egyptian history and culture. Additionally, King Tut was named Tutankhaten at birth and was the son of the heretic King Akhenaten and his wife Kia. He married his half-sister, Enkhsenptah, and changed his name to Tutankhamun and Enkhsenamun after taking the throne. The royal family moved away from the new capital city, Akhenaten, and spent most of their time at the traditional administrative center of Memphis. Despite being last of the warrior pharaohs, the empire built by his forefathers had enjoyed stability and relative peace for many years, but during Akhenaten's reign, the situation in the Near East changed dramatically and the Hittites were able to take Egypt's northernmost territories. King Tutankhamun, also known as King Tut, was the last pharaoh of the 18th dynasty of Egypt. He came to the throne at a young age, around the age of 9 or 10, after the death of his father, Akhenaten. King Tut's reign was relatively short, lasting only around 9 years, from around 1332 to 1323 BC. One of King Tut's first actions as pharaoh was to move away from his father's unpopular religious beliefs, which centered around the worship of a single god, the Aten. Instead, he re-established the traditional pantheon of gods and reopened their temples. He also changed his name from Tutankhaten, which means living image of the Aten, to Tutankhamun, which means living image of Amun. During his reign, King Tut was heavily dependent on his advisors, particularly the commanders-in-chief of the army and overseer of all works, General Horemheb, and an elderly man named Ai, who was the commander of the horses and may have been the father of Nefertiti. Both men later ruled as pharaohs after King Tut's death. The cause of King Tut's death is not known for certain. Some theories suggest he died from an injury or illness, while others propose that he was murdered. The fact that his tomb was hastily prepared may indicate that his death was unexpected. King Tut's mummy shows evidence of a broken leg which may have caused an infection that led to his death. An interesting fact about King Tut's tomb is that it was hastily prepared due to the untimely death of the young pharaoh. The tomb is much smaller than the normal royal tombs, measuring only 12 feet high, 25 feet wide, and 101 feet long. This gives us an idea of the sudden and unexpected nature of King Tut's death. British archaeologist Howard Carter is credited with discovering King Tut's long-lost tomb. Carter spent 10 years clearing and cataloging the items found in King Tut's tomb, which gives an idea of the vastness of the treasures found in the tomb. The discovery of King Tut's tomb and the treasures found inside gives us an idea of the wealth and grandeur of ancient Egypt, as well as the complexities of the political and religious climate of the time. It also highlights the important role of advisors in the ruling of ancient Egypt and the impact of the religious and political changes on the empire. Another important aspect to consider is the preservation of the tomb and the treasures found inside. The tomb was sealed for over 3,000 years, which helped to preserve the objects found inside. The dry desert climate, and the fact that the tomb was sealed and not disturbed for so long, helped to preserve the treasures in remarkable condition. It's also worth mentioning that the discovery of King Tut's tomb by Howard Carter was a major historical event and a significant discovery in the field of archaeology. It sparked a renewed interest in ancient Egypt, and King Tut's tomb remains one of the most famous and well-known archaeological discoveries to this day. Before we wrap this up, here are some details you won't want to forget. The tomb was discovered in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, which was the traditional burial site for pharaohs during the New Kingdom period. The tomb contained a variety of artifacts including statues, jewelry, furniture, weapons, and other objects that were placed in the tomb to serve the pharaoh in the afterlife. Some of the most notable treasures found in the tomb include the solid gold coffin, which weighed over 110 kilograms and is considered one of the most impressive examples of ancient Egyptian metalworking, the famous death mask of King Tut, which is made of solid gold and inlaid with precious stones, and the golden shrine that housed the canopic jars, which contained the mummified internal organs of King Tut. The discovery of King Tut's tomb also shed light on the art and architecture of ancient Egypt, as the tomb contained well-preserved frescoes, carvings, and inscriptions that provide valuable insight into the artistic style and techniques of the time. The discovery also revealed much about the beliefs and customs of ancient Egyptians regarding death and the afterlife. The tomb and the objects found inside were intended to provide the pharaoh with everything he needed to make a comfortable and safe journey to the afterlife. In summary, the discovery of King Tut's tomb not only revealed the wealth and grandeur of ancient Egypt, but also provided valuable insights into the art, architecture, beliefs and customs of ancient Egyptians, as well as the political and religious climate of the time. It remains one of the most important and well-known archaeological discoveries, and continues to fascinate people around the world with its spectacular treasures and historical significance.